Races in the November general election are setting up. More on those. Plus, Monday with the Mayor goes on the road again. And Christine Golden and Dean Vonderheide talk about activities at your local library tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Though the primary elections are now in the books, the November election is starting to take shape. The city of Jasper has several races coming up this fall. These include the mayor's race that will pit Republican incumbent Terry Seitz against Democratic challenger Wayne Sheeter. Of course, Seitz won a tightly contested primary election against Republican challenger Steve Messmer, a race where the final margin of victory for Seitz was just 44 votes. Seitz says though the November election is important, there will be other things for him to focus on over the next several months as well.
Certainly you will prepare a campaign, and a general election is somewhat different than a primary. So we'll do some preparation. We'll have some different groups that will actually weigh in, and individuals that can now come forward and sense a different purpose. And that's what we do, but also have got to be mayor first and then candidates second.
Meanwhile, a pair of first-time candidates are also gearing up for November. Current Jasper Redevelopment Commission President John Bell won out over Scott Blasey in the Republican race for the District 3 Council nomination. This was another tight race, with the final margin of victory being 40 votes. Bell says the May primary race was a friendly one. He says he's eager to see what happens over the next several months.
Anytime you do something new, you learn and you gain experience. And so I've definitely learned a lot. I'll do some things differently. I'll continue to give my best effort. So I'm looking forward to the general election.
Of course, Bell will be facing Democrat Adam Offert for the District 3 seat in November. And in Huntingburg, Jeff Bounds is looking to build on his primary election win over incumbent Alex Blackgrove in the District 2 race for Huntingburg City Council. Bounds, who won his race by a relatively wide margin of 60 votes, says not having an opponent at this point leaves his campaign in wait-and-see mode.
We're going to continue to stay organized and do what's necessary to be ready in case that happens. But at the moment, there's no one declared as a candidate in the Democratic Party or the independent organization. So at this point, we're just kind of preparing to see what happens.
Now, the DuBois County Democrats will also be tweaking their field of candidates in the months ahead. The deadline for vacancies to be filed is June 30th, and certificates of selection have to be filed with the state by July 6th. Speaking of the election, another name has emerged in the field of candidates for a Jasper City Council at-large seat this fall. Current Jasper Library Board President Dean Vonderheide has announced his intent to seek the Republican nomination for an at-large seat on the City Council. His selection comes as the DuBois County Republican Party works to find qualified candidates to fill ballot vacancies from last week's primary election. Vonderheide is a 1971 graduate of Jasper High School. He earned his bachelor's degree from Indiana University in Bloomington in 1976. He also lettered in varsity football at IU. Vonderheide joins fellow Republican Nancy Eckerly in the at-large race. Meanwhile, John Bell won the primary Republican nomination for the District 3 seat, while Kevin Manley is seeking another term as Jasper's District 6 councilman. State lawmakers had a busy 2015, but one of their efforts that went largely unnoticed has to do with new legislation supporting veterans. Governor Mike Pence has signed 2 bills into law dealing with veterans issues, both of which originated in the Senate. The first, Senate Enrolled Act 298, deals with veteran employment, while the other, Senate Enrolled Act 434, gives veterans easier access to in-state college tuition. Under SEA 298, private sector employers in Indiana now have the freedom to adopt a preference policy for hiring, promoting, or retaining veterans in employment. The bill defines a veteran as someone who actively served in the U.S. military, the Indiana Army National Guard, or the Air National Guard. Now, the veteran unemployment rate in Indiana is at around 16%, nearly twice the national rate of 9%. Lawmakers say this bill will assist Hoosier veterans with their job search, thus driving down the state's veteran unemployment rate. Meanwhile, SEA 434 makes active duty military personnel and veterans eligible for in-state college tuition at Indiana's public universities. Members of the Indiana National Guard who are not Indiana natives will also be eligible to pay in-state tuition. District 48 Senator Mark Messmer says the legislature will continue fighting to help veterans locally and across the state.
Veterans and their families make tremendous sacrifices to serve our nation and protect our freedom. It is essential that we support our servicemen and women in their effort to obtain higher education and return to the workforce. In the General Assembly, we will continue to seek ways to help Hoosiers returning home after bravely serving our country.
You can contact Messmer's office directly with your questions and concerns by email at senator.messmer@iga.in.gov or by phone at 800-382-9467. And finally tonight, state highway officials are planning a pair of meetings to gather public comment on possible routes for the Interstate 69 extension between Martinsville and Indianapolis. Officials say the meetings are part of environmental impact studies as the Indiana Department of Transportation develops plans for the final section of the highway that will stretch from Indianapolis to Evansville once completed. The study comes after state legislators last month repealed a 2004 law prohibiting the highway from passing through southern Marion County's Perry Township. Supporters say they want highway officials to have the option of using the Indiana 37 corridor for the I-69 section that will go between Martinsville and I-465 on Indianapolis' south side. The public meetings are set for May 18th at Center Grove North Middle School just outside of Greenwood and May 19th at Martinsville High School. Work on building I-69 is currently ongoing in sections 4 and 5. All right, coming up after the break, Monday with the Mayor is on the road again, and later, more on what's happening at your local library. We're back after this.